throughout the sacrifices, throughout the adversity that you've faced and being back in reality, has that shaped you into not only a different person, but a different wrestler when you stepped in that ring in that glory taping?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just everything made sense and the timing was perfect. I always say this, and it's like sometimes you, like, when you go away from home from your mom and dad, you don't really see what they're saying at the moment.
Right.
And then life starts hitting you and everything starts hitting you. It's like, wait, like, they were right. And that's what happened to me with reality wrestling. I stepped away for a little bit, and like, that's what Book was talking about. That's what Farmer Sharmell was saying, or that's what Kev was talking about. And like, and the beautiful part about this was, man, is that when I came back, we all grew. Everybody grew. Like, they never stopped growing. And it's just like, that's where you know you're in the right place. And I just felt so at home.
And we are back with the Project Get to Know podcast. My name is Emmanuel. If you haven't been subscribing, if you've seen this episode, don't forget to, you know the drill, like, comment, subscribe, share the episode with everyone. And we have someone that I've been meaning to get to for a while, and we have the hybrid king himself, Hoka. It's been a while because I've seen you on a lot of row shows, but it's nice to have this nice breakdown with you this week.
Glad to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, because you weren't a wrestler. You started off in football. And what's nice about, like, segueing into wrestling is what was your love for the game of football first before we even delve into wrestling?
Oh man, it was a way out. It was
Mm,
everything to me at the moment, because that was just the only way that I see fit for me to be able to provide for my family at the time.
right.
It was just the only way that I was going to provide for them at the moment. I've just been so blessed to be able to take my career where I was able to take it. But just like everything else, it must come to an end. So. But football's always been it's always been my first love. Growing up,
Mm.
I had older brothers that played, older cousins that played, and kind of just directed me in that path right behind them, and taking that to the next level. So started off at like an early young age for sure, and ever since then, I still have love for it, just in a different path now. So.
What was your, like, starting position, like, starting off, like, in earlier in your playing time before we even delve into career?
Right. Yeah, so, like, just from Little League, I've always had the big X on my head.
I get
I
that.
know I was never able to make weight, playing O-line and D-line at first, and then from there, transitioned over to quarterback. Then we realized that we didn't really like that position. But yeah,
So you're like, we're done. We're gonna move you
yeah,
somewhere else.
yeah, we're gonna go someplace else, it was just wasn't my position, and then from there, it's just on the defensive side of the ball, was just like my home. Rather that playing outside linebacker, or rather be the three tech, or just wherever they needed me on the defensive side, and played a lot of special teams as well. So that was like my main position, main side of the ball was playing on the defensive side.
What was, like, the primary position? So, like, so your coaches over time, what was, like, the one position you're like, you know what, we'll put you here. I think you're natural in this position. Let's roll with it. And then you started to see your progress in your playing career.
Yeah, it was definitely a defensive end. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, a defensive end, rushing the passer. That was definitely like my groove. It's definitely the best feeling in the world when you get that sack on a quarterback. It was the funnest, just the funnest thing in the world. I couldn't believe it was actually legal at the time. So, but yeah, definitely defensive end.
Who did you look up to? Because I'm sure the for me, because I'm from the East Coast, so defensive ends, you get to see, like, the Michael Strahans and, like, the Javon Curses. Like, who were your
Right.
go-to guys that you wanted to really model to make it into your own?
Oh man, I believe JJ Watt. JJ Watt
Oh,
was a huge guy.
wow.
I mean, if you didn't watch JJ Watt growing up, then I don't know what you were watching. But as far as things go for the defensive end position, it was definitely him, JJ Watt. Um, yeah, the Khalil Max coming off the edge too. But those are like my main two guys, was just like Khalil Mack. But we got Von Miller as well, coming off the
Yeah.
edge, those type of guys. So yeah, it was those are the three guys that I looked up to the most for sure.
Because I think what's nice too is like having like these two a days, and like how much of your physical and your mental fortitude build up over time when you're having these two a ways and knowing that you're almost at the cusp of the next level, because I believe you played in college as well, right?
Yeah. So I went to NAIA school. I went the JUCO route first up at Snow College up in Ephraim,
Mhm.
Utah. And then from there, I went to Eastern Arizona College, was it was in Thatcher, Arizona. And then from there, I didn't have no more D1 clock, so I had to go to NAIA school. Ended up to going into Ottawa University, Arizona, up in Surprise, Arizona. Became the first NAIA athlete to get invited to the All American Hula Bowl game, which a bunch
Mm.
of athletes go to like get ready for the to raise their draft stocks even more. And then from there, I got injured at the Hula Bowl. I tore my ACL.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was a big that was during COVID. It was really, really a tough time for me for sure during that time. And, from there, just training with Matt Asiata. Shout out Matt Asiata. He's a big trainer up in Harriman, Utah right now. He played at University of Utah. Also a Snow College alumni as well, but he played for the Vikings for 7 years.
Mm.
Helped me get back up on my feet, with the ACL because he had 2 ACL tears,
Oh.
in his career, and he still made it. So I got with him because, like, during the COVID time, there wasn't much rehabbing going on because of COVID. So, I had to do all my rehab through just, a trainer, somebody that just, like, did what worked for him with me. And, we're talking about a guy that did towards ACL way back then, so
Yeah.
he was just doing, and, it worked out. It was the best. He helped me get through that mental phase in my life to just overcome the things, that the body that your body's not usually used to going through, like, going through surgery. And, do you believe in yourself still? Like, how confident are you in your knee and stuff like that? So eventually I end up getting a call from the spring league and played my first professional football game in 2021. And that's where everything kind of just shot off from there. And I realized, over time, I just started realizing my left leg started bothering me even more.
Oh.
Yeah, it just wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go. And just after the season, I ended up getting let go. That was a tough pill to swallow. And it was one of those moments in my life to where I had to go back home and go to work again. And more just like, you go through college, you're at an all-time high, and then you go play professional ball, you're at an all-time high, and everything just like goes back to just regular, and you just like
Yeah.
mentally at that time, I wasn't okay, I was really just like, damn, what am I gonna do? And I just remember sitting, me and my older brother Junior, we were sitting in the lunch break room. We're working at a warehouse. I'm just sitting there like, damn, what I'm gonna do in my life, and if it's not football, and
Yeah.
literally like minutes after that, like we're getting ready to head back into shift, I get like a little buzz on my phone. It's WWE
Yeah.
recruit.
Good. 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 I'll let you finish. Go.
Yeah, yeah, like WWE recruit just messaged me. I thought it was a game. I thought somebody was pranking me or something at
Someone
that time.
scam you.
Yeah, just at the moment, like, and then I think back to the Hula Bowl. I think way back to the Hula Bowl, which goes way back to the Hula Bowl at this time, and we had WWE recruits at the Hula Bowl, and I just remember everybody. Yeah, it was crazy,
Okay.
and they came in and spoke with us and stuff, like, before, we went out. Dude, we're getting ready to play, trying to go to the NFL, and none of us is really hearing this guy. We're just like, "Nah, we're
Yeah.
trying to play in the NFL." And instantly everybody looks at me like, "Yo, Hoka," like, not Hoka at the time, but it was just a lemma at the time. They're like, "Yo, you gotta do
Mm.
this, man. You'd be great in the WWE." I'm like, "Nah, nah, I'm gonna be a." So
Right.
funny enough, a few years down the road, they hit me up, and I'm just looking at my brother. I'm like, "Yo," like, he's like, "Bro, you gotta, like, wait till we get off of work, man, so we don't get in trouble on break." You know what I mean? Like, so then after work, like, I was just like, "Yo, like, do I do this?" He's like, "Bro, Imma tell you this right now, man, like, you out of all of us, you've always been destined for something greater."
Right.
and I'll be damned if I let you work a regular job your whole life because then that means we didn't do our jobs, So instantly hit me from there, and then that moves in to the wrestling world, man. That just like smoothly goes in from there. Just I'm getting ready for this trial, and then even then, I'm like, is my knee okay? Like, is my knee good? You know what I mean? So I'm just like, oh snap. So, I send in my physical. I'm doing all this stuff, and before you know, I get there. I'm not cleared. I don't get cleared.
It's like one door
It's like
closing
one
after
thing out
another.
of another. So it's just like, dang. So I'm looking at this guy like, I'm like, yo, so I can't get in the ring, He's like, nah, you can't, you know? So he's like, you can do the promos, but you can't get in the ring. I was like, dang, man. So instantly from there, like, did the promo, saw how everything was ran down there. And I just remember after that first trial, before I left, I remember I was in the bathroom and it was William Ringo. We were both in the bathroom at the time. And I was like, dang, man. He's like, good job on your promo. And I was like, yeah, man, but I forgot this, and that. And he was just like, let me tell you something. Don't you ever let anybody know that. Ever.
Mm.
Because they'll never know. Good job. And this is William Ringo. I'm like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? Like,
Like the most straight guy wrestler who's a heel. Like
right.
to have that like advice from William Regal, it's like it really set you forward to like, okay, this is gonna be my journey. And to know,
Right.
and we're gonna move to just how with the tryout, I'm sure like it's a lot of effort to try with that. How much of that support system, because it's not an easy journey being a wrestler, and that's what I'm trying to like really bring up too, is wrestling is always hard. Professional wrestling in its core will have its
Right.
difficulties, but for you to have this support system that you have, like how much of that did they really carry you through what the tryout is going to be once you step into the ring over that time?
Yeah, it was great. It was huge, man. Like especially those mental reps, how big those play into role. And like these are not guys that are just showing up here just blabbing their mouth, to chill. They're trying to find the next big thing, They're trying to like
Right.
bring on the next big thing. So that kind of just correlated to everything. Like I had three total tryouts. So I had my first one, they invited me back to another one to see how I can do it physically. And
Mm,
then from there, didn't get called back. And then on the third one, just couldn't give me it was 2 days before my daughter was born.
right.
Um, and just couldn't give me a real answer at the time, which, you know, it stung for a little bit, but I was forever grateful to go back to your question. I was forever grateful for that, just the support, regardless of however we're gonna take this road. Because I know the road is gonna end up at WWE. There's
Right.
just no go telling like which highway we're gonna get off of. You know what I mean? And so it's just over time, like after my last one, it was like, hey, like, go to Booker T's. Go to Booker T's, and then that's gonna kind of fall into what we're gonna talk about next. It's like, man, like the moment I met Book was like, holy crap. Number one, I was like, this is Booker T, man. Five time, so
I was gonna say that too.
had to throw that out there real quick, but you know, goes to reality wrestling, have no experience. Book has just been a Book and Charmel and Kevin and
Mm,
Ryan, you know, and now like further like a little bit down the road, it's Oz too as well. They've been such a huge support in my life, not even just for wrestling, just life in general, and I can sit here all day and talk about how great those people are. But just to
yeah.
sum it up, it's like, when I came to reality wrestling, it was a lot of like bumpy roads at first. It was just one of those things like, you know, just being around people that understood wrestling, family, and how to separate the two. You know what I mean? Not being
Right.
able to walk through the doors and like and bring all the stuff with you. Just being able to leave it at the door and come in and work. But yeah, over time, just like being under the umbrella of those guys, just been such a just man, I such a huge support. just
Because
overall.
you've trained from 2-a-days to now doing this daily with over at Row. Was it a different transition, or is the mentality similar enough that you can say, okay, I can roll with this? Like, was there any differences in just learning? Of course, like the basics, move sets, and all that, but comparing that to football, is it similar, or there's some differences that you had to go through to understand what the business is all about?
I mean, I feel like the approach is still the same,
Mm,
right? Like everything that I do to just checking the boxes, man, and trying to figure out how to check those boxes, and then mastering the boxes that you're so given at the moment, you know. And I just feel like wrestling and football is so far like different than each other for me, at least.
right.
Just because like I feel like wrestling is the hardest thing I've ever done
In what
compared to
way?
compared to any sport I've ever done in my life. And I'll say this. I'll just put it this way, and I'll keep it simple for people because it's hard for them to digest it, you know. But yeah, with the wrestling, I'll start with football. Football, okay, got to have the X's and O's, technique, you know, effort. There's a few things that correlate with one another with wrestling and football, right?
Right.
Effort, consistency, studying the game, all that stuff, right? You have 11, 12 games if you're lucky, guaranteed,
Hmm.
right? Versus wrestling, you got to be able to have a great physique. You have to be able to know how to make time, communicate with the ref, entertain a crowd, and not kill each other.
Okay.
All in one. And that is
That
not,
that blew my mind out of you mentioning it.
and then great memory, knowing how to do the in between stuff. Like one of my favorite things, book, always harped on was like out of position to be in position.
Right.
Just like it's just like these things are just like it may seem like seven things, but in the moment it's like so much all in one
Hmm.
because you're trying to achieve these things all in. It's a live movie. There's no retakes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, and then you like it's crazy, man. Like I don't know how else to put it. And then you're doing that 365 days.
Yeah.
And then like people are like, oh yeah, it's fake. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me slam you on concrete real quick. Tell me how it feels.
The
You
apron's
know?
right there.
Let me you go hit the ropes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, or you take a bump right here. Just take a bump anywhere, really. And it's just like one of those things like you're constantly doing this over and over again. And in hopes of like you trying to see like, okay, who am I in this? And most people will call it a character, but like with where I'm at now, it's not even a character. It's really like who I am in the moment.
Right.
And then there's layers to it. You figuring out the layers of this of who you are in that moment. Like you go back and watch film, like, oh, that's what Book is talking about. He wants more.
Mm.
He wants more. And then you see it because you're in practice all the time. You're getting your ring hours in. You're lifting your weights. You're eating your meals. You're not out doing crazy things every weekend. It just it requires so much more than what a football player could ever grasp, in my
Because
opinion.
what I think about, because I'm learning this from a lot of you guys in on the indies, is it's a never ending circle with what you're doing. But at the same time, I kind of admire like the discipline that you guys have. And it's like it's such a departure from football just because there is a season in football in general. But
Right.
wrestling, it's like 360. Well, it depends on where, but like it's a year, it's a never ending like
Right.
season
And
for
the
you
reason why I say
guys.
the reason why I say 365 is because you try you I tell people this all the time. You try working a regular job, trying to pay your bills, trying to support your kids, trying to have a roof over your head, and try to make it to these bookings with your job being okay with you leaving for
Yeah.
these bookings. And on top of that, paying for your merch, new gear, food, gas, like, like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's a
it's an
never end. It's
everyday
like it's a
thing.
grind, literally.
Yeah, and it's like not to say that I don't love it. I love it. You know what I mean? This is what I want to do. This is what I'm destined to do.
Right.
And it's just a matter of timing. You know what I mean? So like the reason why I say 365 is because it's legitimately 365. If you're not waking up every day and you're not checking the boxes of like, okay, all right, we already hit this promotion. All right, let's see what book thinks about this promotion and like how can we go here from here, like, or we go over here, we go over here, or like. But the biggest thing is like, okay, if you can't impress book, if you can't master where you're at with book, then what makes you think you're gonna master all these other promotions, right? So now you got a lot of kids just
He's
wrestling
the bar.
anywhere. Yeah, like wrestling anywhere and everywhere, which is not a problem. I'm not against it. But as far as things go for my journey, it's like row is the place to be because not
Mm,
only you're gonna get better, you're gonna be amazing. Like look how many people they put out already. Like that wall at reality wrestling that speaks for itself. Like,
right.
and it's like Book definitely knows what he's talking about, and then he entrusts the people under him that literally like is another form of Book. You know what I mean? So it's like if you can always run in place, I'll put it that way. You can always
Yeah.
run in place and make it look like you're going somewhere, but you're not going nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just making the
Right.
right steps, the right moves in order to be seen, and like when a WWE recruit looks at it like, "Hey, Book, how's Hoka doing?" Dude, you gotta look at this guy. And I'm talking about
Yeah.
all cylinders, promos, body, in ring, general, um, making time, all this stuff. Can you make somebody else look like a star? Can you like just all these things? Like it's a beautiful sport because it's never done. Like I'm never watching a movie the same. Like how I
Right.
used to watch back in the day. Like now it's just like, oh snap, I'm watching Avatar. I'm like, oh, maybe
But
my
you know the
interest can
plot.
be.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know the
you know what I
plot.
mean? Like, so it's like, it's just one of those things like reality wrestling, man. If you wanna make it, like that's where you wanna be. 100% because everything what I just said, just to sum it up, all that in one, it's like you have a guy that's been there, done that, and continues to do so, and that just shows his love for the business and not even just for the business, but like his love for us as
Mm,
his talent. Like he truly cares, man. Like you can't tell me that man in Book and Mama Charmel and from the Kev to Brad to Russo to, you know, everybody, like that's like working behind the scenes to make us look like a billion bucks. You can't tell me that they don't love this and like, it's just the best place to be, man, overall.
it's nice that you have like this time in your wrestling career, and we are gonna bring up like your Tongan upbringing, and to know that it's a very small percentage of professional wrestlers who are of that descent. How did how did Book and everyone from that locker room really amplify that heritage on you to know that you are an individual, that you have the likes to be with a Haku, with a Tamatonga or a Tongaloa, and to know that how much of that locker room really amplifies the culture of what a Tongan is in the space of professional wrestling in general.
Oh man, that's a great question. I feel like it's cool because that's my home, number one, row.
Yeah.
Them knowing, like instead of saying oos, they say what's up, Toko, that means brother in
Yeah.
Tongan. And I'm both. I just so happen to be both, and I'm blessed that I'm
Right.
both, but like the biggest thing right now, which recently just happened, just changing the trajectory of Hoka, you know,
Right.
no more big T's, none of that. Like I don't want to swear on here, but we're canning it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like, it's just he just wants me to be me, and I get where he's going with that because it's like you can't help but not look at me and be like, dang, like if I'm a fan, like he's probably one of them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, and I couldn't have done it in a harder time than now because Polynesian wrestling is the biggest thing right
Yeah.
now, and will probably always will be, definitely. Um, because it doesn't stop with us, it
Mm.
continues. So, but yeah, so for me, like it's been cool for them to know that I'm Hoka and that they know like my story, and it puts more confidence in me, that they're confident in me to deliver whatever it is that they're wanting me to deliver while I'm in the ring, rather it be promos, rather it be, just anything that has to do with the involvement of wrestling. So it's just I'm super excited for this run that I'm on right now at Row,
Mm.
because it's just so much great things are going to come out of this, and I just can't wait to just present it to you guys. But as far as the Tongan lineage, I feel like people can't really tell the difference at times,
Right.
or then, or maybe they're not wanting to digest it. That's why we're going about it a different way now, and I can't wait to deliver that to y'all. So
I'm curious because has a fan like approached you and like mannerisms or anything like that, and you're like, hey, you're Tongan too. Like, have you ever had a fan interaction that you're like, hey, you're one of us? Like, has that ever occurred to you while you're
like
wrestling in the ring?
Tongans.
Yeah. Has there
Yeah,
ever
no,
been
yeah,
like
for
that?
sure. Like I have a huge fan base back in Utah, you
Okay.
know? So I have a huge fan base in Utah that are a bunch of Tongans, because they know the language, they know the names, they know the differences. It's like they see a young Tongan man coming up in the business, they're like, dude, that's dope. He's one of us.
That's
Like
good.
when I flew home to Utah, and like you got all the flight attendants and all the flight people working at the airport, like, yo, Hoka, what's up, man? Yeah. Or like
So you're
you're
well
at a
known in Utah at this
yeah,
point.
like, or you're going to the store and you got like a high school kid that's like, "Yo, Hoka, yo, man, heck yeah, put it on for the Tongans, man." You know your work is working.
That's cool.
Yeah, but as far as when it comes to like fans everywhere else, it's like, oh, he's probably just another Samoan.
Oh, because it overlap. It's just like in terms of
Yeah.
like mannerisms or like if there's any inconsistencies, you're like it's one and the same, but also like there could be the people that you have in Utah. They're like, hey, like because they've known you prior to that, but for like someone who's like foreign to what you do, like the Tongan Samoan overlap can happen
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah, it can. Yeah, it definitely. I mean, doesn't happen often, but when it does
Right.
happen, it's like, oh, that's dope. Like it's cool. Like, hey, are you Tongan? Or like, or but most of the time it's like they refer like you Samoan, because The Rock, and like you got Roman Reigns
Yeah.
and Usos, and like they think like we all look like each other, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So it's a little different at times. It'll switch
Yeah.
up.
I think like how like in terms of like setting yourself apart from that, how often do you have to really distinguish that you are an individual who is Tongan, like in the ring? I'm curious what was the one thing that sets you apart from everyone? Whether you're in a show or if you're interacting with people, what is that individualistic like approach to making yourself unique in the wrestling business?
That I'm both, and you
Okay.
can't. And you either the people you see now, they're either Tongan or they're either Samoan.
Right.
I've always said this, like, what can be better than a tribal chief? What can be better than a king?
Yeah.
I'm a king and a high chief.
Which is
You know,
that's awesome. That's
it's
actually pretty
crazy,
cool too. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
Because
it's like, and it's just one of those things you can go about it a million ways. But as far as things go right now, I'm just Hoka. Like I'm me,
yeah,
and like however you digest it, however you perceive it, that's on you. I'm just trying to keep delivering. It's just, but what separates me for sure is that I'm not related to none of these guys. I have no family
yeah,
ties with neither of them. I'm the start of my own,
and you have
you
that path
know?
on your own, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I didn't grow up in the business. I didn't have like, yeah, in Polynesian culture, like everybody calls each other uncle and auntie out of
Yeah,
respect. But like, you know, I didn't have that like what these guys had growing up. You know what I mean? I'm that now, and I'm gonna be that for my kids. So
mm,
I think that's the coolest part, is that like I have no family ties with none of these guys. I related to neither of them. It's just Hoka, and that's it.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned like having like a family, and like I mentioned like a few minutes before, where wrestling is a very much a very tough thing to go through to balance that with your kids. And how old are your kids? I was wondering if I may.
They turned 3 in April, April 10th.
Okay. Oh
Yeah.
wow. So they're still very young, but like for you to balance everything, to have all of these obligations, what is that drive? Of course, your kids will be that drive, but for you to balance out the things that you want to do in wrestling and to have a family, what is that balance for you to say, I can do both?
Man, to be honest with you, I feel like there is no balance in this.
Okay.
And that if I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I feel like the biggest thing that's helped me as a father is knowing who you are.
Mm,
Knowing who you are as a human being and then, all right, I know who I am, right? Now, the very thing that I'm doing, why am I doing it? I love it, passionate about it. I'm going to be the best in the world. And I don't just throw that best in the world out there like candy. Like I mean that because everything that I'm doing now is leading towards that. But I have to
right.
be the best at reality wrestling first, right? Just we talked about checking the boxes. I have to be the best here first in order to be the
Hmm.
best over there and over there and over there. So it's like you knowing who you are and those other things I just mentioned. Because if you don't know who you are and why you're doing it for, and if you lose sight of that, then you begin to get in your head
Hmm.
like, can I do this? Like, is it worth being away from my kids? Like, dude, it's sacrifice, man. You know, it's sacrifice. In order for me to get to where I want to be in life, and I'm going to be there, it requires a lot of sacrifice. Sacrifice time away from
Hmm.
your kids, family, you know, your body, your health. You know, you sacrifice everything. And I'm not trying to make it sound like a horror movie, but like, you know what I mean? But
There's
I
a
don't
silver
know.
lining somehow.
Right.
There's a silver
I
lining.
don't know any other way because then who else is gonna do it? Is it
Right.
gonna be my mom? No. My dad? No. They're old.
I
Is it gonna be
see.
my siblings? They have their own lives. They have their own families. They have their own passions. Is it gonna be my friends? No. They have their own life to live. This is the
Right.
life that I only know to be true to provide for my family. So I have to do it. I have to go to the gym. I have to
I
eat
see.
right. I have to go to the ring. I have to cut promos. I have to show up to the shows. I have to stay. I have to do meet and greets. I have to travel. All this to say, when it's all said and done, that my kids will be set for life. That's the reminder
Yeah.
that whoever is in this field of work, or rather you being a doctor or wanting to be a doctor or a football player, whatever it is that you're passionate about, you remind yourself of these things and you'll be able to crush anything that you want to be able
Yeah.
to go after. Because if you don't believe it, they can see that you don't believe it.
Hmm.
Okay. Like life is already hard enough. So like you don't need a bunch of voices in your head from everywhere. You know what I mean? You just need to know who you are, stand on it, and remind yourself it's not gonna be easy. But at the end of the day, I know that where I got with in my life to be where I'm at right now, I had a lot of life struggles. So like I
Hmm.
think about my kids, like if their biggest struggles is gonna be like, oh, my dad wasn't around as much in the beginning of their lives, whoop de doo,
Yeah.
right? It is what it
I'm
is.
about to break on a wall, just like.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Cause it's like, cause like people be like, man, you don't feel bad. I'm like, why would I feel bad for my kids?
Yeah.
They have the greatest dad. They have somebody that when I'm with them, I'm present than ever.
Hmm.
And then they have somebody that the biggest thing I feel like I can give to my kids is besides the time is being able to live my life the way I wanted to live it, and
Right.
being able to live out my dreams and aspirations that I've always had. Always known myself to be something greater. I just always known I was destined to be something just so like just big. This that feeling never leaves me, and it will never leave me after wrestling. it'll always be, okay, what's all right, something next, you know? So I just feel like for them to be able to have a dad that, you know, said what he said and he did what he said and then he accomplished all his goals, when they get in position to where they're stuck and they're like, I don't know which way to go, you can always
Yeah.
go to dad. And then they'll start understanding like, dang, that's when they go to college and when they go off to whatever they're doing, they'll be like, dang, like that's what dad was like feeling like. And they'll call dad. They'll be like, yo, dad, like, how do I deal with this? I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? But in this case, it's like I can fly out to you because now I have all the money in the world,
Yeah.
or I can fly you out to me. But when daddy was doing it, I was barely scratching for $5 for gas.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that it's all gonna come together and it's just a matter of time. But
Because what I
enjoying it.
like, oh, God, good. Because what
No,
I
yeah,
like
like
is I'm
go ahead, go ahead.
Because what I was thinking, because I think the drive that you have is already there, but for having children, that purpose that you have, I mean, I don't have experience like with having kids, but for me, it's like my career in my life. But to have that purpose, it really magnified having kids because like it's mouths to feed. That's definitely like a first, but like your purpose has gotten even better because now you have someone that you're passing on to in your family line
Right,
with that too because like the way that you're mentioning it is how like your purpose got really magnified because your kids are there and they know where to look up to, which you brought up a few seconds before that if
right,
like if they say that your dad's like if like hey dad and they see something that's that makes it worthwhile for them to listen, they're like okay, you have my attention at that point. So to
right,
have that over time and knowing that they are going to grow up, like they will be adults down the line. They know where to look up to when their life is, trying to figure out what their lives are supposed to be.
right. 100%.
Yeah. So,
And that's gonna be
um,
the best feeling in the world. So
so of course, like you took your work from Row and you've had different promotions, but Gremlin Wrestling kind of came about. Where did that come from?
man, it just God, man. Just shout out to God. It's just one of those things, he put the right people in position to, you know, line it up. And then from there, I became their first champion um a year ago in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, it's been a blessing, that was my first baby, and then it was just such a blessing, just to be able to be entrusted to, you know, carry that. And I would forever be the first champion there. Nobody will ever be able to take that from me. And,
Yeah.
just a lot of big things come from Grimman House Wrestling as well. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, this wrestling world.
Yeah. It just takes you anywhere because I noticed too, because you have like a different approach to your character as well. You went really Mad King kind of an angle. You have like the makeup and everything. What was that like departing from what you usually do in Road to now trying something new within Gremlin House that you're like, I will try something different?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like so I was going against Mass Warner, and he paints his face a lot when he was in TNA, and I just wanted to, two warriors just going at it, just put on my war paint and have his be his and mine be mine. And
Hmm.
it's fun because you just throw things at the wall, man, and see what sticks. And that's what this is all about. You see what works, and if Book likes it, he does it. He likes it, and if he doesn't, then he doesn't. And
Right.
this is all about adapting, being able to adapt and move when things are uncomfortable or when things are comfortable. It can go either way. You're gonna have to be able to still do your best, and with knowing that like this is not something that they want, or this is something that they want. So it's just cool. Greenhouse House is a great place. Shout out to Yaya. He's doing a great job over there with the promotion. So um, he's bringing a lot of good guys in, and we're just gonna continue to grow this thing, and with all my back and shoulders, and just keep this thing to the moon, man.
I think what's nice too of how like moving out of state. And I'm curious how the crowd itself, of course, for ring post, apron, ropes, those will be the same for Texas and New Jersey. What's the crowd interaction like? And what's the flavor of how that crowd is compared to what you've already done in Rome?
Oh man, it's electrifying, man. I feel like the East Coast, the crowd out there is just as great, if I'm being honest.
Right.
But um, they love wrestling out there, whether it be in New York, the Bronx, New Jersey. Like they love wrestling. So, but yeah, but I would say reality wrestling though, it's a special place. Like it just
Hmm.
for me, it there's no place like it as far as it comes to our fans. Um, they're just so they're just there, man, and they get it and they love it and
Yeah.
they love who they love and they hate who they hate and they're just so involved. And like without the fans, we're nothing. So
Yeah.
shout out to all the fans at Reality Wrestling, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see like two different sides of fan base, and you know they all have one thing in common: they either hate you, or they love you. So
It depends on who, because I
right.
think you brought up before going back to Glory, by the time we'll record this, and you've had some time away from Raw and doing your own thing and forging your own path as a wrestler. What was that like coming back? And you had a promo of how this is going. You mentioned it earlier, where this will be a different Hoka. This will be a different you. What was that like coming back to Raw, in this case with Glory, after being far away from it as long as possible?
Just a different approach, and I'll say this, that I'm not back for scraps. I'm not back here for crumbs.
Right.
I'm here for everything. Everything is about the approach of how you're going about it. And that was just thinking back to it now, it's crazy. It was literally just a few days ago.
Right.
Man, there's no explain, like you just felt it. Like it was in the room. It was like I just remember Book looking at me as like, yo, just go out there. I just want you to feel it. And I
Oh,
was just
right.
like, as soon as my music hit, new entrance, smoke, everything hit. And it was just like, that was a very cool moment. And just the love that I got from the fans, it's up, man. It was just something I can't really explain. I just was just in a whole different mode at that time.
I see.
And now it's just like you guys just sit there and grab your popcorn, grab your soda pops, and sit back and enjoy the ride. Because there's a lot of big things that I plan on doing at Reality Wrestling this year. So,
You
but
think
yeah.
the experiences that you've had shaped to that moment? Because throughout the sacrifices, throughout the adversity that you've faced, and being back in reality, has that shaped you into not only a different person, but a different wrestler when you stepped in that ring in that Glory taping?
Yeah, absolutely. Like just everything made sense and
Mm,
the timing was perfect. Just because I always say this, and it's like sometimes you like when you go away from home from your mom and dad, you don't really see what they're saying at the moment,
right.
and then everything life starts hitting you, and everything starts hitting you. It's like wait, like they were right, and that's what
Mm,
happened to me with reality wrestling. I stepped away for a little bit, and it's like holy crap, like that's what Book was talking about. That's what Mama Sharmell was saying, or that's what Kev was talking about. And like and the beautiful part about this was, man, it's like when I came back, we all grew.
yeah.
Everybody grew. Like they never stopped growing. And it's just like that's where you know you're in the right place. And I just felt so at home. Like it just played such a huge part because it's like, all right, I always call it the gap effect.
Mhm.
If this is reality wrestling and this is me and reality is going like this, the
Yeah.
only way to close this gap is if I come up here. They're not gonna come down here. So it
Oh,
just
okay.
felt
Okay.
like
That makes
you know
sense.
what I
That makes sense.
mean?
Okay.
I
Yeah, that
can't
makes
close.
sense.
They can't close the gap coming down. We got to close this gap by me meeting the expectations and me being. Did I learn what I was supposed to learn? Is the
Right.
approach different this time? So it just goes so much deeper. But to keep it, simple as possible is just like one of those things. Like the gap closed, and now that the gap is closed, all right, more, even better than the last one.
Yeah.
So it just felt right. I'll put it that way. It felt right.
You sense where your growth is as a person because like oftentimes you don't want to shirk back because like that's just really impedes on what you're doing and progress as a person. But to go out of your way to go to New Jersey and whatever out of state bookings that you're doing, you're exposing yourself to different scenes and how to do things because down the line when you come back it's like think of it if you're familiar with like the hero with a thousand faces. It's that one stage in that journey where the hero returns with the elixir. That's where
Yeah,
you're at coming back
yeah,
to glory. It's like you have the elixir of knowing I've done stuff in New Jersey. I've done stuff in so and so state that when you come
right,
back, you're like, this is what I want to share. But I knew where my progress is coming in, knowing that,
right.
all right, this is where I'm at in my life right now.
You could have nailed it. You know what I mean? Like that's literally it, man. It's like one of those things that's like you go out there, you get more experience, and then you start realizing with the experience that like, okay, like then it's making a lot more sense now. And then once it clicks, it's like, all right,
You
time to
got
go
it.
back home. Yeah, time to go back home. So
Right.
no,
With the year still go ongoing too, like the year's still young. We're we're at the quarter of the year through. Where do you want to see yourself stretch out more as in your career or as a person? What are some of those goals for you to knock off the list and check that off the checkbox for this year?
yeah, definitely. Just being the main man at reality wrestling,
Right.
being being the main guy for them, and representing them everywhere I go as well. Those are my wrestling goals, just being the best at row. And
Right.
the moment I know I've done something right, it is when Book is like, "All right, you got it. You get it," So and then, as far as, like, me as a human being, just continue to learn and grow and, you know, whether that be in my space of, like, family or, being a better father or just being a better brother, um just all around the board, man. You can always work on something. So, but yeah, I'll just say
Right.
just being a better person in general, just trying to just be there for people as much as they were there for me. So, all the important people in my life.
Right. So this was cool. I didn't even know what time it was. We're like we're within time, which is kind of cool. It's nice to have you on because I watched a lot of the row shows, and whenever you're on, it's like it's very much of like how electrifying your moves are. And I think one of the cooler things is to go out into New Jersey because I am from New Jersey, so it's kind of like
Heck
a
yeah.
full circle having that conversation and to know that to go back to go to row again, it's kind of like a full circle moment for you to say, this is what I've learned. I can take this back, roll with it. Let's see what Book wants to improve on what I'm doing, or if he wants to roll with what he wants to roll with you on it. It's like it's you know what to do um, coming in down in your career. So
Uh,
we're close to wrapping up, and picture yourself as that adolescent you, that kid in Pee Wee Football League back in the day, but hanging out with you for a day. What is that younger person going to feel hanging out with you, with the life that you have, with the career that you're having in professional wrestling? What would that younger person feel like hanging out with you?
Dang, he would look up to that person.
Mm,
My younger self will definitely look up to the person that I am now, and he would not repeat the same mistakes that I've made, but he would also be proud of the progress that I've made through those mistakes and the overcomings that I was able to do. And just to look at me as a person that, never gave up and that that little kid in me, I never lost.
Mm.
And he would just always be proud of me regardless because I just never gave up. No matter what it was, I've always gave it my all. So, I would say that little kid would just be inspired more than anything, for sure.
Yeah, let's flip the script. What advice would you give that younger person?
That none of this would have been possible without you thinking big at such a young age. And, not a lot of kids get that at that age. At 6 years old, you're just like envisioning being in front of big crowds and you're having dreams or you're just always in a fantasy state of mind. And, you're just putting all these things like, I'll just say that, I love you. And
Mm,
I'm also proud of the things that he was able to overcome at a young age because there's a lot of things that he had to go through that most young kids probably shouldn't go through. And he was
mm,
able to overcome that. And yeah, I'll tell him that I love him and, you know, thank you for everything, because
mm.
for me, it's like I never lose that little kid in me because it's like kids are always asking questions. They're always
Right.
curious. And I feel like as you get older, we tend to stop laughing or stop goofing off around or running around and just like it's just to the core of like who you really are. So it's like, I just never lost that little kid in me. Just always curious and like always just like, all right, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And that's how you learn and grow, like you tell your kid, like, hey, don't touch the hot oven. But why?
Yeah.
Like it may seem like a dumb
Trial and
question,
error.
but like they're like, well, why? It looks cool. I'm like, well, you're gonna burn yourself, right? So, just all just
Trial
all
and
the
error. That's what it means.
right, right. So it's just being able to just I'm proud of him, just him being able to overcome the things that he went through as well and not undermining anything that he went through. So
This is cool. It's a pleasure to finally talk with you, to know your story from transitioning to football to professional wrestling. It's not an easy feat. Life
right.
in general, in pretty much there is some difficulty, but knowing you have the passion in professional wrestling and to know that you have what it takes to be in that next level and the foundation you have with Book, with Row, with everyone in your family, it's like it's one of those things where it keeps you going. And that's what I was looking and hearing throughout the conversation is to never give up. And that's the only thing that you can do. And it just keeps you going and keeps you growing because now you're doing stuff outside of Bro. And hopefully down the line that WWE tryout will come up and say, hey, let's give you another shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it will.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we'll end our conversation here. For those who are tuning in on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't, if you've gone through this conversation with Hoka for quite some time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That whole jazz. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be on to the next one.